when you were 13, you faced Kasparov, and he wasn't able to beat you. Can you go through that match? What did that feel like? How important was that? How epic was that?
We played 3 games. I lost 2 and I drew 1.
Right, but one draw.
No, the one draw.
But didn't you say that you kind of had a better position in that?
Yeah, I remember that day very well. There was a blitz game. This was a rapid tournament, and there was a blitz tournament the day before, which determined the pairings for the rapids.
And for people who don't know, super short games are called bullet. Kind of short games are called blitz. Semi-short games are called rapid.
Yeah.
And classic chess, I guess, is like very super long.
Yeah. Basically, bullet just never played over the board. So in terms of over the board chess, blitz is the shortest. Rapid is like a hybrid between classical and blitz. You need to have the skills of both, and then classical is long. The blitz tournament, which didn't go so well. Like I got a couple of wins, but I was beaten badly in a lot of games, including by Garry. And so there was the pairing that I had to play him, which is pretty exciting. So I remember I was so tired after the blitz tournament, like I slept for 12 hours or something. Then I woke up like, okay, I'll turn on my computer, I'll search chess space for Kasparov, and we'll go from there. So before that, I hadn't spent like a lot of time specifically studying his games. And it was super intimidating because a lot of these openings I knew. I was like, oh, he was the first one to play that. Oh, that was his idea. I actually didn't know that. So I was a bit intimidated before we played. Then, of course, the first game, he arrived a bit late because they changed the time from the first day to the other, which was a bit strange. But everybody else had noticed it, but him. Then he tried to surprise me in the opening. I think like psychologically, the situation was not so easy for him. Like clearly it would be embarrassing for him if he didn't win both games against me. Then like I was spending way too much time on my moves because I was playing Kasparov. I was double checking everything too much. Like normally I would be playing pretty fast in those days. And then at some point I calculated better than him. He missed a crucial detail and had a much better position. I couldn't convert it though. I knew what line I had to go for in order to have a chance to win. But I thought like, I'll play a bit more carefully. Maybe I can win still. I couldn't. And then I lost the second game pretty badly, which it wasn't majorly upsetting, but I felt that I had 2 black games against Kasparov, both in the blitz and the rapid, and I lost both of them without any fight whatsoever. I wasn't happy about that at all. That was like less than I thought I could be able to do. So to me, yeah, I was proud of that, but it was a gimmick. I was like a very strong IM, but had GM strength. I was like, it can happen that a player of that strength makes a draw against Garry once in a while.
But okay, for people,
but I mean, I understand that I'm 13, but like, still, I felt a bit more gimmicky than anything. I mean, I guess it's a good thing that it made me noticed. But apart from that, it wasn't. Yeah.
And for people who don't know, I am as international master and GM as grandmaster, and you were just on the verge of becoming a youngest grandmaster ever.
I was the second youngest ever. I think I'm like the 7th youngest now. I mean, these kids these days.
Kids these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Okay.
But I was the youngest grandmaster at the time. In the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is you say it's gimmicky, but there's a romantic notion, especially as things have turned out, right? Like,
no, for sure.
And have you talked to Garry since then about that?
No, not really. I think he's embarrassed about.
He's still bitter, you think?
No, I don't think he's bitter, but I think the game in itself was a bit embarrassing for him. So
even he can't see past
No. I think he's completely fine with that. I think like in retrospect, it's a good story. He appreciates that. I don't think that's the problem, but it never made sense for me to broach the subject with him.
Yeah, it's funny just having interacted with Garry, now having talked to you. There is a little thing, you still hate losing. no matter how beautiful like that moment is, because it's like in a way it's a passing of the baton from like one great champion to another,
Yeah.
right? But like you still just don't like the fact that you didn't play a good game from a Gary's perspective. Like he still is just annoyed probably that
Yeah.
he could have played better.
And we did work together in 2009 quite a lot, and that corporation ended early 2010. But we did play a lot of training games in 2009, which was interesting because he was still very, very strong, and at that time it was fairly equal. Like he was outplaying me quite a bit, but I was fighting well, so it was pretty even then. So I mean, I appreciate those games a lot more than some random game from when I was 13. And I just don't know what I'm talking about, but I've always found it, at least based on that game, you couldn't tell that I was going to take his
Yes.
that I was going to take his spot. Like I made a horrible blunder and lost to an Uzbek kid in the World Rapid Championship in 2018.
Mhm.
And I mean, granted, he was part of the team that now won gold in the Chess Olympiad, but he wasn't the crucial part. He barely played any games. Like it wasn't like I would think that he would become world champion because he beat me. I'm always skeptical of those who said that they knew that I was going to be world champion after that game or at all at that time. I mean, it was easy to see that I would become a very, very strong player. Everybody could see that, but to be the best in the world or one of the best ever,
It's true.
That's hard to say.
It is hard to say, but I do remember seeing Messi when he was 16 and 17.
But hasn't that happened with other players though?
Yeah, but I just had a personal experience. He did look different than. There's like magic there. Maybe you can't tell he would be one of the greatest ever, but there's still magic. But you're right. Most of the time, we try to project. We see a young kid being an older person, and you start to think, okay, this could be the next great person. Then we forget when they don't become that.
Yeah, exactly. That's I think what happens.